LA, New York, and Austin have all completely banned short-term rentals. So if you are an owner of a short-term rental property on Airbnb or VRBO, is this a fading business? Are we on a sinking ship that you need to jump off right now? I've brought back my friend Lauren Rodriguez today, who is the owner of HaloBNB, which is a full-service short-term management company. And if you're doing anything with short-term rentals right now, he is such an amazing resource. And he's here today to go over the red flags that you need to be looking for and how to figure out whether this is a business you should stay in or if you need to cut your losses and get out. So anybody who's got a pulse has probably been paying attention to the fact that there are entire regions and cities that you can't have a short-term rental.
Precisely.
Tell me about that.
The big three, as I like to call it, is going to be Los Angeles, New York, and Austin. These places have now banned short-term rentals or Airbnbs. One of the main reasons why they have banned short-terms is from local politics. It's also from mismanagement from the hosts themselves. You know, the markets are saturated with short-term rentals. It's no surprise there. What differentiates the professionals from the amateurs are the people of how they are operating their businesses. So I don't allow parties at my property unless specifically disclosed and there's an additional fee involved. People who are novice property managers or short-term rental operators will let it be a free-for-all, and now the professionals are given the bad name and we're having to make up for it. It's frustrating, but now with short-term, because it is a much more risky investment strategy, the delay time for people to see themselves out of the industry is very short, which is a good thing for the people who are treating it like a business, because those people are going to succeed. Those people are the ones who are going to be moving forward. So some of these people are in crisis mode. They're having to transition into midterm or long-term, which is not as profitable as short-term. The model is just a little bit, it's different.
So have these essentially just cut off at a certain date? You can still rent a property, not for a full year, but minimum 30 days? Or, I mean, I know it's gonna be different everywhere without going too deep into it.
So in the state of Florida, basically, if a stay is less than 30 days, it is not regulated. Do your research with the DBPR.
Yeah.
Midterm is typically anywhere after 30 days up to 5 months and 30 days.
30 days, okay.
Right, so whatever that means. And then long-term is anything after 6 months. Now, all of those strategies are profitable. They do work. The level of profitability, that's a different story.
Absolutely. So let's drill it down to the Gainesville-Alachua County area. We do have some special things that make us popular for short term. In fact, we've even been on some of the top lists of places to purchase a property for short term. So is there a chance of us ending up like New York, LA? Not that you can predict the future, but do you think there's more regulations coming down?
Right, so full disclaimer, I do not know the future.
Our crystal balls are cloudy.
Crystal balls are cloudy. Madam Leota has left the building. And I can only speak for what's going on here in Gainesville. So Gainesville has really rich soil for anyone who is trying to build property, build businesses, build their careers. So we have a lot of transient people coming in. Our university is a medical university that is in collaboration with Shands, UF Health, the VA. We have Innovation Square, which is like a pseudo Silicon Valley. You know, the university itself, there are a ton of students that come in and out. There are the medical professionals who are on residency. Okay, I'm gonna set up shop here. 3 years later, oh, I'm moving to Seattle, or I'm moving to Austin, I'm moving wherever. I need to sell my house. So the real estate market is insulated to a certain extent, which makes it great for professionals like us. It makes it great for anyone who has a fleeting career where they have to bounce in between places. So Gainesville is wonderful. You can make a lot of money. You have to be very intentional about it. The people who got into short-term rentals back in 2020, when it was easy to throw up a listing with menial marketing, were able to really capitalize on the business. These days, we're saturated. We're pushing twice as many short-term rentals here. Things that happen in real estate in the US typically don't circle back to Gainesville for 8 to 9 months. Would you agree?
Oh, we're definitely on a delay.
I personally think that we're probably going to see more regulation. The barrier of entry is going to be raised. Whether you need a real estate license, whether you need some kind of licensure to perform short-term rental management, because it's a little bit like the wild, wild west right now. It's great because we do have a lot of control over our businesses, but you know, there are things that legitimate property managers and real estate professionals need to adhere to for moral and ethical standpoints that we have to adhere to by law. And with short term, it's not as prevalent or it's not as flushed out. There's a lot of gray area. So it leaves a lot of room for stretch for maybe not the most professional operators.
It begs the question though, should people get out of Airbnb? Is it too little too late?
So I think it really comes down to where your business is at and what your goals are, and if you have a plan or strategy to execute on them. So the people who are intentional about it, no, stay in. The people who are questioning it should probably reevaluate their businesses and really take a hard look and make a decision. You know, do we need to make a transition into midterm or long term, or do we need to sell the property, just get out while we can? Because it is getting competitive. It's already competitive. Competition is fierce. There's no shame in it at all. You know, you just kind of have to do what's best for you, and a lot of times what's best for you and your family, because there is a lot of money at stake.
I liken this almost to when Uber came out. It had this exponential growth where you couldn't almost stop it, but now it's that pullback. The regulation is starting to come in. So if I am watching this and I own a short-term rental, how do I succeed? How do I know whether I need to be one of those ones who bows out and sells versus hires a manager or fixes this thing?
Gotcha. If you own a property that maybe has the potential to do Airbnb, or maybe you're doing it now, but you kind of just, the spaghetti method, you threw it against the wall and you wanted to see what happened. The best thing that you can do is kind of run projections, narrow down like what the seasonality aspect, that's probably one of the most important things that you need to wrap your head around in your market, understanding when the peak seasons are, when the dead seasons are, and then understanding what you need to prepare for between those two.
Because they're different.
seasons.
I mean, in Gainesville, our season's very different than somebody who has a beach property. Because summers for us are dead for short term.
I'm in the St. Augustine market, and I'm also in the Gainesville market. In St. Augustine, summertime, we have 3 units over there. We maintain 97% occupancy. Why do people come to Florida? They come for the sunshine, they come for the beaches, and that property embodies it. You need to ask yourself, why do people come to Gainesville? They come for the Gator games, they come for the university, they come to visit a family member in the hospital. So the questions you need to be asking yourself is, how do I cater to those personas that are coming into town? And that is how you are going to be able to craft a business strategy to really capitalize off of short term.
Talk a little bit about what you're doing with HaloBNB, because there's a kind of a tiered system. You know, you can allow owners of properties to sort of pick the level of engagement that they're wanting.
I am a huge fan of Choose Your Own Destiny. I played a lot of those games when I was younger. Huge fan of RPG games. So I like to see it as, what do you want to do? Are you an investor who is not even in the state, who really wants to capitalize during Gator football seasons? Okay, well, you absolutely need a property manager or co-host relationship situation, because you don't have boots on the ground. I'm your boots on the ground to make that happen. Maybe you want to have a unit next to Paynes Prairie where that long bike trail is, and you really want to cater that kind of experience. Let's really create this experience, because that's how you capitalize on short term.
And I think you hit the nail on the head, because I know I will look on a short-term rental site before I look at a hotel. Ultimately, I'm looking for more than just bedrooms and a kitchen. I'm looking for an experience.
Exactly.
Now, what if I am local? What if I do live in the Gainesville area and I have a short-term rental? What are the options with that?
Absolutely. And you got a few. You could hire me and I could manage it. I would love to. But the thing is like, some people, especially if they live here, it's like, well, maybe I don't want to pay someone to do it, especially if I live here. It's like, okay, I will warn people, it is a lot of work. So there is a community of people who are like, I just want to collect a check. It's like, okay, well, sign on with me and we can make it happen. But for the people who are like, well, I really want to be involved in the experience, it is really cool. I really enjoy what I do, and I love communicating with guests and creating experiences and being hospitable. Some people want to be in on that. In that case, try managing it yourself and see what it's all about. You know, I would like to think I'm well versed on how to help people with that. So whenever you do encounter problems, you could always reach out to me. I do consulting, I do coaching. If you need help with setting up your Airbnb, I do that as well for a fee. And I try to make the process as fun as possible as well.
Well, and I think it's just everybody's going to have a different set of needs, and you've done such a brilliant job of catering to the various levels of needs, whether it's all in 100% or I just need a little bit of help in the beginning.
Exactly.
I think that's huge.
Yeah, choose your own destiny.
And I think sometimes it's taking that hard look and it's saying, okay, you know, seek out a real estate professional and a short-term professional and compare those numbers and align that with your goals, and that's going to ultimately tell you what the next step is in this adventure.
Exactly. It's up to you to reach out to them, which I am inviting you to do so. You already do that.
Right?
So.
We're here to help, and we want to talk to you, even if it doesn't mean that we work together. It's like so much of the cornerstones of our business are just educating and helping people.
Exactly.
And whether that means we step in officially or we just advise, like we're here for it. And that's why I'm so excited to get to talk with you.
Exactly. You're never going to get anything done unless you ask questions. I mean, I'm talking to people on a daily basis who are asking where the TV remote is all the time. There are no stupid questions in my book.
So speaking of questions, where can people direct their questions about short-term rentals?
So glad you asked. I have a website, HaloBNB.com, where you can see our services. I also have my direct booking website where if you are tired of the redundant fees of Airbnb, VRBO, what have you, and you want a more catered experience with the host, me, that's where you can have it.
Fantastic. Conversations are everything, and I know for me and I know for Lauren that we are happy to have conversations at any point. If you've got questions, if you need answers, that is what we are here to do. And speaking of questions, here's a question for you. When you purchased your short-term rental property, did you look at county regulations, HOAs, any kind of association rules? Or could your casita be a catastrophe? I'm Lindsey Johnson, your resource for all things real estate. See you next time.